All right, y'all. Welcome back to week 2 of Rise of the Phoenix, where I teach you how to walk a divine path and understand what your life purpose is. Of course, this journey is a walk. It is not a sprint. It is a marathon, and it has its turns and curves and steps and falls, and there's so many things that will change along this journey. So setting yourself to walk the divine path and walk in the right direction is absolutely crucial. I've discovered from a couple of my friends recently that as much as they love my newsletters, it is very difficult to actually read these newsletters. I understand that reading is not the funnest thing in the world, and I've had to create a space for myself every single day to actually force myself to read. And over the last year, it's become a lot easier to read, and I've come to really enjoy it. But I understand that reading is not what everybody loves to do. So that being said, I am going to be reading my newsletters for you. Unfortunately, my printer that I have in my apartment complex doesn't understand how to properly print because it keeps cutting off my words on everything that I do. I've tried different styles of printing, and unfortunately it keeps cutting it off. So I will be having to read my newsletter from my phone, which is not ideal, but it's just what I have to do. Unfortunately, my light stopped working on my GoPro. I brought my mic and I can't get it to connect to my GoPro. So there's all these things going wrong, but I just want to make sure that the number one thing for me is that I show up, I do the work, I do what I say I'm gonna do, and I feel so called to this series of self-discovery, the Rise of the Phoenix, for us to rise from the ashes and create the life that we want, to walk the path that we know that we are supposed to be walking, to help others see the light at the end of the tunnel, to be the lighthouse for those that are in the dark. So that being said, let me go ahead and read my week 2 of my weekly Rise of the Phoenix to you from the words that I have written, and I will go ahead and get this up. Damn. All right, y'all. I'm not gonna be able to do this with that dude playing pool, so I'm gonna change my where I am for this video. All right, so I had to leave where I was because I don't know if y'all have ever tried to concentrate while hearing pool balls smack each other, but it is very distracting. So anyway, I'm gonna get back to exactly what I was reading. Over a year ago, I watched a random Netflix documentary that ended up changing the course of my life and giving me the answers that I had been searching for. It set me in a direction of purpose and power and helped me realize my life purpose. Myths and Monsters on Netflix explores the history and psychology behind global myths, examining how war, disease, and human nature shapes legendary tales. Watching the series and learning about Joseph Campbell's hero's journey didn't just inspire me, but it felt like a missing piece of my personal puzzle finally clicked into place. As my eyes widened, my arms erupted in goosebumps, and I even shed a tear of joy because of what I had just discovered. True story. I realized that every story that I had ever heard, every movie that I had ever loved, followed the same exact or a very similar structure, the hero's journey. If I wanted to tell my own story and teach storytelling, I needed to understand this framework. It became crucial for me in my personal development, and for setting myself on a path worth living. Since the beginning of time, storytelling has been essential to human existence. Telling our stories is one of the greatest gifts that we can give to the world. But to tell our stories, we must first understand them. Hercules, the Odyssey, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and even Narnia are some of the greatest stories ever told in our generation. And every single one, the reader, or the watcher, is rooting for the underdog to accomplish their journey and come out victorious. They all share one thing in common. They follow the same storytelling framework. Of course, you probably heard of it. As I said before, it's called the hero's journey. What most people don't realize is that your life also follows a very similar path as these heroes. Over the last 2 years, I've studied the hero's journey and recreated a version that fits what we actually go through in our own lives in the real world. Here is a depiction of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. This version shows the 4 major parts that the hero goes through to reach the atonement or the elixir that they are searching for. The 4 parts are the call to adventure, the supreme ordeal, the transformation, and the hero's return. These are the 4 stages represented in Joseph Campbell's A Hero with 1,000 Faces. In our own lives, we go through our own version of the hero's journey, and often more than once. Here's a version of my own enhanced or evolved version to represent the real life version of the hero's journey. As you can see, the version that I created is based off of real life and is slightly different than Campbell's, but it follows the same basic principles. We have the known world where most of us spend our lives, and we also have the unknown world, which most people will never get to go to. In the known world, we experience 2 major stages, the call to adventure and the preparation. In the unknown world, we face what I like to call war, and eventually we reach the elixir, or what Campbell calls the return, the hero's return. Understanding the hero's journey framework is crucial to my series, The Rise of the Phoenix, and to discovering our own life's purpose. To understand our purpose for the future and the gifts that we're meant to bring into the world, we must look at our past. We must understand our own story. We all have traumas and pain that we've experienced, but some of us hold these pains and traumas so close to themselves that they actually identify as these pains, as these traumas. Although our traumas are a major part of our own journey, they do not define you. As you move into the next phase of your life, direction becomes absolutely essential. Imagine your life as a ship. You are the captain. You can decide to go anywhere in the world, but if you never raise your sails or choose a destination, you will drift wherever the waves want to take you. Many of us are living our lives exactly like this. No destination, no intention, no direction. If you don't know where you want to go, how will you ever know that you have arrived? Of course, we all want the same things in life: comfort, security, love, connection, and of course, we all want more money. But what does the journey to these things actually look like? You must choose a direction and set your sails with intention. If you do not, you may wash up on a random shore, or worse, drift endlessly until your last breath and die at sea. Choosing a destination doesn't mean it's permanent. Your destination may change many times over, but it's still the anchor point that gives your journey direction. If you've never read The Alchemist, I highly recommend it. It is a beautiful book that illustrates exactly what I'm saying. Without spoiling anything, the main idea of this book is this. Santiago has a dream about a treasure in Egypt. He doesn't know how he'll get there, what he'll find, or what the journey will even look like. But he sells everything that he has and he takes the leap of faith. He faces countless obstacles, but no matter how many times he falls, he keeps the vision of the treasure close to his heart and he perseveres. As each one of us moves towards our own elixir, the final phase of the hero journey, we must keep our vision at the forefront of our hearts and our souls. You may not know exactly the path that you need to take, but knowing where you don't want to go can be just as powerful. Telling your story can be the beginning of your journey. But to tell your story, again, you must understand your story. I'll break down each one of these phases so you can understand your own story and actually step into your purpose. The call to adventure, the inner pull that you feel to become the lighthouse for others that are still in the dark. The preparation, the inner and outer work required before entering into the unknown worlds. War, the phase where we all must become a spiritual warrior, overcoming your inner and also your outer enemies to reach your own promised land. And of course, last, what everybody wants, your own elixir, the moment you emerge victorious, having conquered your greatest enemy, yourself. This journey forward is not for the weak. It will require strength, discipline, and of course, the most important thing, a warrior's heart. If you're reading this now, I believe that you already have this heart. And I can't wait to help you build your armor and go to war with you. I appreciate you deeply, and I can't wait to see what comes of you in the next coming weeks. And I can't wait to share with you the first part of the hero's journey that I've created, the call to adventure, in week 3. As always, stay golden. And remember to keep coming back to learn more about what it takes to actually discover your life's purpose and to become the lighthouse for those that are still in the dark. Discovering our purpose and discovering what we're meant to do here on earth might be the hardest thing that you have ever done in your life. But walking the divine path towards your life's purpose is truly fulfilling. And when you finally discover exactly what it is that you're meant to help other people with, you'll feel as if you have a weight leave your shoulders. You'll feel as light as a feather. Again, I appreciate you all very much, and I will see you next week. Again, if you don't like reading these weekly newsletters that I send, I will go ahead and read them to you, because I know that reading can be very difficult, but I promise you, I put so much of my heart and soul into writing these, and I can't wait to share more with you in the coming weeks.